What's up everybody, it's your boy French Cooking. Welcome back to the channel, and this is Make Beats for Free on MPC. Today's free VST is called UltraBasic by SampleScience. Now why did I pick this VST today? Well, this is the 50th episode of Make Beats for Free on MPC, formerly known as How to Make Beats for Free. And it had me thinking of when I first started making beats. And I mean literally the day that I bought this MPK Mini, I plugged it in, I launched MPC Beats, and I stared at it like it was the control panel of a UFO. All I knew at that time is that I wanted to make a West Coast beat because that's the kind of music I liked at the time. So I searched all over the internet on how to make that classic Cali lead. And all I saw was 100 posts that said, oh, it's just a sine wave. Just use a sine wave. I knew what a sine wave was. I went to high school, all 4 years. But what the hell does that have to do with making beats? Anyway, long story short, UltraBasic is exactly that. It's a waveform synth with really intuitive controls that pretty much anyone can use to do sound design. Now back then when I first started, and I was all naive and everything, my strategy was to recreate a song that already existed and that I liked, but to do it in my own way, which I still think is a pretty underrated way to learn how the pros do it and how to structure your beats, so on and so forth. So that's exactly what I'm gonna do today in honor of the old me. I'm gonna take one of my favorite West Coast songs ever, Hit 'Em Up by Tupac, follow a similar pattern, but do it in my own way. So I'm probably not gonna post this beat. I'm just gonna have fun with it. In fact, I'm not wearing any pants right now and my meat is out. So let's get it. Okay, so arguably the most important part of Hit 'Em Up is the bass line, but I'm gonna go ahead and start with some chords, piano chords. Let's see if I can get a little top line going with that as well. Don't forget those little transition accent notes. It makes the melody a little jazzier. Now I can go ahead and lay down my bass line, and I'm using the warm bass guitar preset in Labs by Spitfire Audio. Okay, so same thing for the bass as the piano top line. Don't forget your little plucky accent notes is here as well. It makes it kind of sound more like a live bass, which is the sound that I'm going for here because, well, Hit 'Em Up was actually a sample from a live bass. So yeah, the more you know. Now I'm gonna go ahead and lay down my lead in UltraBasic. So let me change this to a sine wave. There's a couple things I need to do to it before it sounds more like a West Coast lead. First thing is, do that little pop at the beginning. I want to get rid of that. So all I'm going to do is I'm just going to pull up the attack a little bit. And I'm going to pull it to release a little bit as well. Now that's gone. The second thing is I want the notes to glide into each other, just like they did in Dr. Dre's beats. So I'm going to change the voice mode from poly to legato. And I'm going to pull the glide knob up and I'm just going to play around with it. There you go. Now it's starting to sound a little bit more like a Cali lead. Next, I want to add a little bit of movement to the lead, a little bit of modulation, and that's right here. So I'm going to pull the depth up to, let's say here, and the rate up a little bit as well, and that's going to give the lead a little bit more character. Finally, I'm going to pull the distortion down to 0. I don't really need that. And I'm going to make the reverb a little more wet. You know what I mean? Just pull this up a little bit. Okay, I think that'll do. To add to the groove of the beat, I pulled up BG Sparkle, which used to be free for a limited time, but it's not anymore. But oh man, just listen to how cool that sounds. You get the idea. Just an extra guitar melody in the background to give it some more groove, like I said. Now it's drum time, baby. Two-step hi-hat, kick that follows the bass line, and I also added a counter snare, which makes it a little bit more like my style, but it also makes it a little bit more like the Cash Money version, Way of Life, if you ever heard that. Also a great rendition of that sample. To add some body to my chords, my 6th track is it's an electric piano. So I just copied the exact same chords. And let me solo it. And with the piano. Finally, in my 7th track, I have a high string. This part's optional, but like I said, I'm making this beat my own, and you did hear it in a lot of West Coast beats and Tupac beats as well. So yeah, let me just lay it down. That'll do it for me today. I just wanted to say that I appreciate everybody who's rocked with me up until this point. This channel's not huge, but who knows, maybe one day it will be. All I can do is keep making better content, and hopefully that'll lead to you guys making better beats. I'll be back next week for another one, but until then, keep producing, baby.